All right. Are we live? Are we live? All right, testing, testing. All right, so late night streaming here. Wanted to kind of walk you guys through what is my preparation process before I have a meeting with a business client. Feel like it would be a great conversation, right? And also, as I share what I do, seeing what you guys do on your side, and then we help each other get better, right? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Let me see, is the mic quality good? All right. So obviously, we want to walk into a business meeting prepared. We want to increase our chances. We want to increase the probability we achieve that outcome as much as possible, whether it's closing that deal, getting that meeting with the key decision maker, um, negotiating a contract, negotiating an agreement successfully, overcoming objections, whatever the case may be. I think you will all agree that preparing is key. So what I did here, and pretty late night streaming here. I'm a night owl. We can thank college for that. Bad habit I picked up from college. All the studying was done at night. And now I feel like at night is when my brain works better. But picked up a random company here, Taigunya. It's just double checking. Why is this? Okay, looks like sound is working good this time. All right. So what I did is I Googled a software IT uh, company, cloud. Are they doing cloud right now? Local to me here in Arizona. I just Googled first name that came up. Um, Tried to do this yesterday, but had some sound issues, so we're gonna run it back. So again, no particular opinion. I have no relationship with this company. This is just for learning purposes. That's my legal disclosure right there. This is just for practice purposes. Myself as an outside in observer and a student of business as we're trying to get better. So this is not, if anything comes up, this is not to criticize anything the company does or such. This is simply for learning purposes. Okay, so having said that, found this company, right? Googled it, something came up in my area, clicked on the first one. Couple of things I like to do here when I look over prepare for a business meeting with a client. Essentially, it is a full-on SWOT analysis, internal and external. But also, I want you to consider something. Depending what kind of meeting it is, you don't need to do an overkill. But it is important to get a couple of bullet points, highlights, just so that you can have an educated conversation, an educated opinion in the conversation, in the meeting, to improve your chances for success. For example, if I'm prospecting clients in the area, if I work specifically with some kind of product or service as a business that's has great synergy with this company, for example, with data hosting or power platforms or IT security, whatever the case may be. One second here. Yeah. So if I'm targeting, for example, Scottsdale area here in Arizona, and I found, let's say, 8 clients that are pretty good fit for what I do, and I would love to prospect with them. Now, naturally, I don't have that meeting confirmed, so you don't want to spend too much time, like an hour, 2 hour long. We're going to be doing a little bit of an overkill just for learning purposes, just to kind of walk you guys through my thought process. Um, but basically, if you're prospecting, You just want to get a couple of highlights and intriguing pointers or ideas that will make them go, hey, that's interesting. I'm interested to find more. You know what? Let me get a couple of the important decision makers and get a meeting. Let's see what more you got to offer. So this is the appetizer. Let's say prospecting. You don't want to go too deep because the appetizer is just to work up the appetite, and it's not the main course yet. The main course, we're going to dive a lot deeper on those meetings, because if you're just spending too much time researching one company, then it just takes too much time away from actually going and targeting these companies, going to the expos, making the phone calls, doing outreach, doing drop-ins, requesting appointments with the secretaries, etc. So you don't want to be stuck in analysis paralysis if the purpose is prospecting or establishing more connections. Um, so yeah, we can jump into it now. So first thing I like to do is understand a little bit about the company as far as the services they provide. Um, all right, so they're in that technology space, and again, I'm not a technology specialist. I am a fan of the field. I am curious about the field, but I do work with them just in an indirect manner. But I'm not a coder. I'm not a web designer. I'm not a software developer. None of that. I just like applying it and using the tools. But yeah, as far as the service, they offer training and support, business intelligence, custom development. This is great stuff, right? It tells me that they have a pretty good team and probably quite a bit of employees, just because there's so many different types of services here that normally other separate companies would be doing, but they're doing it all in house. That's impressive stuff. They probably have their coding, I mean, on point. And looks like what they really specialize in, what the differentiate is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. And I'm assuming the fact that they do custom development, they probably use the Office suite for businesses and really, really take it to a whole different level. And data mine it, probably some features in there to make action plans or certain alerts, especially from Excel reports. It's communication invoices, etc. I'm sure they make everything tie in probably to the CRM system, and of course adding security to the back end of it. So pretty cool stuff. Very, very impressive. But I think you all can agree that behind company, when we think about company, hey, it can seem like this intimidating entity. Oh, I'm approaching, I'm one man, I'm one person, I'm one consultant approaching a whole corporate. It's like one man versus an army. It feels intimidating, but I think if we take off that veil, take off that mask, take off that layer, it's just people behind it. It's people like me and you, each with their own job function, and everybody's trying to stand out. Everybody's trying to do good things. Everybody's trying to achieve certain things, and of course, ideally, everybody has a best interest for the company. So I like to get a little bit of a story about them. Their teams, are they all local? Are they there? Do they participate in communities? Let's get a little bit of story, a little bit of context here. So we go to the About Us page. All right, more than the software provider. Um, so we're not getting much of a photo here. Usually what I like when I look for business information for prospects or people that I'm going to be going to a meeting with, I like to see information about the founder. I love to see a little history about the business. Hey, we started in 1994 when such and such the dot-com excitement, and we did this, we survived this and that, and this is our values, this is what we stand for, this is how we give back to the community. That gives me more of a chance to identify some stuff that's common with me, align myself to the client. But again, we don't fabricate things that, like for example, when you're buying a car, oh, I like the Mona Lisa painting. Oh, well, me too, and even though he is not an art person, I think sincerity and authenticity is the most important thing. And when you're not sincere and authentic, you can only fake it for so long and somebody will sniff it. Well, somebody will catch you in the act of faking it, and then you just lose a bunch of points. But yes, if you find something in the story that even though you don't do, even though it's something you've never done, it's okay to be a fan. It's okay to admire. Say, hey, you know what, John, looks like you climbed the Himalayas. You did this. I saw the photo. What was that like? I, I'm personally, I think I would be too scared to do it. You can have an active conversation of admiration and curiosity. Curiosity killed the cat, but not in business. Curiosity in business is a great thing. I think it's a phenomenal trait to have because curiosity leads to good questions, good conversations, and good questions, good conversations leads to knowledge, leads to you developing, leads to potential for better alignment with your client. So we found nothing here on the about us. Naturally, we want to stay away from careers, but some of the companies that they partner with, very well known uh, tech companies, and probably some local ones too. So not much as far as a story on their webpage, but let's go to their LinkedIn. I think we can see who are the people behind the business. Again, this is public information. If you didn't want your information out there, I apologize, and we can work on editing on the back end. So, so we were right. It's quite a decent sized company. They're based out here in Phoenix. 51 to 200 employees. I think as far as a tech company goes, that's a pretty good size. Um, Dynamics, okay. We can get a summary here of what they do. They have operations in other cities too, but let's get to the fun stuff. Again, no story, more so of what they do. This is a great thing, right? When I try to engage with business owners, I like to get a couple of things. Yes, talking about the what is good. It is part of the conversation, but more importantly, I think what drives people to make decisions is emotions. It's impact. It's all that real stuff, and then the logic comes in. I think we we probably like to think of ourselves as higher beings. Oh, I operate pure and a logical level. But if we look, big believer of this, if we look at the decisions that we make, the big moves that we make, the risks that we took, it probably was first an emotional move. I wanted to feel safe. I was excited about this. I got tired of doing something else. I got tired of being comfortable. There's always an emotion behind it, and then we add the logic component to it, and we justify the action with the logic, right? So I try to get the why. I'm not getting much of a why here, and then sometimes I like the how. For example, here, hey, this is what they do. They're speaking the language of tech people, right? Stack. Da, 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 da. So maybe let's say I am a brick and mortar, family business, multi generational, old school. Um, I want to read something that was maybe made a little bit more simple for me because I'm not as techy as Taiguna people are, right? What does this mean for me? So why'd you guys start? Oh wow, that's pretty cool. Why you guys do what you do? I can identify with that. Maybe these are people that I can kind of trust and want in my corner. And then how do you do that? Okay. Um, when you have these issues that is causing you stress, such and such, it's a competitive marketplace. Mom and pops are being squeezed out. This is how we help you be competitive. And then you start getting into you start top of the funnel. These are things that are easier to understand, easier to identify with, and as people start identifying with things, you can then start narrowing down, hey, you know what, power platform, modern work, automation, those are just simply um, the last components of the bigger conversation, which is the how and the why. That is the way I like to see things. And a cool thing here, we can go to people. So let's say, I'm myself being consulting, let's say I'm a sales professional trying to partner with your team, coach their team, try to get a contract to help them gain more clients, retain more clients, increase the leads, quality of leads, etc. I would look for someone like Christopher, who is the director of sales, right? I would look for decision makers like a president, a CEO, um, and let's say we click on one of their profiles, Ron Summers, the president of Tygoonio. Like, who is the person behind this? What are some cool things that they like to follow? And guys, it's like detective work. This is pretty exciting because you can start getting some pretty cool stuff. Sometimes they follow artists, they follow business people that you also like. Again, remember, we don't fabricate facts just to say, oh, we both like the same thing. No, be authentic, right? It can be simply like, hey, you know what? I don't really follow this person. I saw you follow this person. It intrigued me. Can you tell me why you're a big fan of this person? And we can have a genuine conversation. I think dialogue is the word here. What kind of newsletters? Business Central. Okay, this is purely business. So through LinkedIn, normally I can find it under website. We can usually find employees, but we don't have much to go by here. So we can go by LinkedIn. The other thing we can do when researching businesses, let's look at Glassdoor. Hey, what kind of company is it? I think happy employees deliver better quality service. So I can start looking at some opportunities. And again, it's not that I like problems. I just want to find opportunities to enhance what the company is doing, because the best business meetings is where I'm bringing something of value to you. Hey, I've helped you identify this. I have some ideas. What do you think about these ideas? In my opinion, I've done this before. This is usually the result we see. Do you see these ideas influencing your business in a similar manner? And you can have a great conversation through research, through finding not just common stuff for rapport building and fun facts, but researching the bigger arena, which we're going to get into as far as the industry and the company itself and the reviews the company has. Um, the other cool thing here, you can look up the business under, sometimes they're here in BBB. Oh, let's say Walmart, just to showcase. You can also look in here and see what kind of business rating they have. Because if they're getting complaints registered and you can't find complaints on Google, right? Which complaints and problems is a clue into what the company needs, right? I didn't see much reviews here. Uh, 2 reviews. So maybe community engagement is a great opportunity here. So more of these. More of these would be great. Um, just checking the stream here. Okay. So we discussed LinkedIn. Other cool thing we can do on LinkedIn is we can go to posts and we can see upcoming events that they're having. Look, they're going to be in Orlando, Florida at this event. So if you have a budget, if for example you work in a very specific field that you are already going to these events, you can try to make sure that you run into them. Hey, Brad, I was looking into you guys' movement. I was very intrigued. I was hoping we could discuss it a little bit and invite him for lunch, etc. But it's a big part of prospecting. It's kind of like I almost don't want to say stop being a stalker, but it's detective work, right? You need the clues, you need to interrogate people, you need to ask the questions, their little notepad. You're talking to the front desk people. Do you, oh, is such and such in? They're not in. Well, Maria, do you know when he would be in? Or is there anyone else that makes decisions about these? You're basically a detective and you're using the clues that you have on the internet and you're putting it all together, because you're not just going like, oh, I think you did the crime, you're guilty. No, that would be a terrible detective, right? The detective needs to put in the work before making a reasonable approximation or assumption. So posts, you can find pretty cool stuff. I like to look at how they're participating in the community, but we couldn't find much about it. I think fundraisers is a great place to not only do good for the community, but to also connect with people that have the same values as you. All right, so we take off that. So that's a little bit on the company profile research. Reviews, press releases. I didn't see anything. I was, researching a little bit, but you can also, for press releases, cool feature you can do just to eliminate the fluff. You could always go to settings, advanced search, and it's pretty like I had prepped this so you wouldn't waste your guys' time typing everything on the stream. Um, Practice with these specific words, and the apostrophes do work well too. Is it apostrophe? Quotes. The quotes work well too because when you put on related stuff with the quotes, it makes sure it ties it back in with this or that. Um, and it can give you, for example, like especially under the sites right here, government websites, Business Wire, etc. This, or you could even do McKinsey consulting companies, .govs, .edus, and then you can search anything that is peer reviewed or very official as far as the company. We're not gonna get any hit on this, just not much a hit on this, just because the company is very it's not a publicly traded company. But if you're dealing with a little bit more renowned client, you might be able to find important events that happen and then they were published or released or by the press. But this is probably a smaller to medium business here locally. But just for fun, gold partner. Okay, so they have a certain Microsoft, like they keep deepening the relationship. Consultants, okay. Yeah, so just as we suspected, we didn't get much of a hit, but I figured it was worth to kind of give you guys a little bit of that option too. Leave no stone unturned. The more information, the better. And employees gave you good reviews. Sometimes we're able to find how. And again, if you're a staffing company, if you're a coaching company, sometimes you want to hear what employees don't like because that's a value you can bring to the company. Was promised during the interview. So if I'm in the sales field, I would be looking for specific issues such as, oh, I didn't get training, I didn't get sales support, the CRM system was lackluster, etc. Yeah, always could be better, right, guys? Okay. There's social media. So what was it again? Okay. They had social media page here. They didn't have much posted, but you guys can see additional clues might be able to be found here. Hasn't posted, right? Or their YouTube just included guides. LinkedIn, we just checked it out. All right, so mostly guides and specifics of as what they do. And as we're doing research, so now we're going to start getting a little bit deeper. So we're going to get into an industry analysis, right? So we finished the first section. I like to start putting in just highlights. I don't need to write a whole 50-page paper, but I want conversation points. Upcoming expo. Elaborate on their 365 custom suite. Um, the company, maybe my specialty as a service provider is nonprofits, right? That's what I'm very good at as far as connecting nonprofits to the tech field, which very rare, I think. And maybe this is an up and coming field, and I can approach and say, hey, how do you serve the nonprofit field? boom, and then we can start like key points that I need to develop further based on the client snapshot. Who do they serve? Which kind of service they use, etc. Whatever the case may be, just so that you can have an amazing advisory conversation. And I think the best rapport you can build is that the person trusts, not only do you have their best intentions in mind, but you know what you're doing. It just feels different. Like, you guys know, imagine when you were shopping for something, especially something complex, and you were dealing with an agent that was on it. It's not just a lot of colorful words and this and that. Oh, you like the sports team? I love the sport. No, it's like really knew what they're doing. And then connecting on sports teams, etc., came secondary. But first, they established their presence as an authority figure that you can really rely on to make that decision, right? Um, So without further ado, let's get into the industry. So a couple of things here that I had prepped for you guys, just to check the chat. Okay. All right. And as you do it, please leverage AI, guys. And here's what I gotta say about AI. My view on AI, and it's still developing, right? I love playing around with it. I don't think it is a substitute for work, at least in its current form. It's not a substitute for work. It's not a substitute for study, not a substitute for knowledge, but I think it's simply an enhancer. Think of it as a business partner rather than, hey, I need you to do the work for me. I'm just a silent investor. Because the more you level up, the more you're participating in the marketplace, the more you do, the more action you're doing, the more difficulties you come across, because innovations come from those really high pressure situations and from needing to find a solution. So from doing all those things, you're going to start learning more and more, not just knowing more, but knowing what you don't know. I want to at least know what I don't know so that I know who to look for, start researching how to fill that gap, start researching how to find that information to fill that gap, right? And so do more so that you know what you don't know. And I think AI is an amplifier to you. So let's say AI is a times 2 to your productivity factor, right? And I have a productivity factor of 20. Okay, times 2, if I use AI right, I can start putting a productivity factor of 40 per hour. It just as an example, right? But if I can get better, more efficient, and I keep leveling up, my productivity factor went to 30, 35, 40. That AI formula, I was taking that 40 times 2 to 80, and you start taking it to a whole different level. So my honest take and my advice is, don't use AI to replace your work. Use it to complement the work. It's like having a cybernetic body, right? Just like the body enhancers. You can lift a certain weight, but with that cybernetic body, yeah, you're lifting, but it's pushing that capacity to a whole different level. So having said that, we're doing a lot of the research manually ourselves. I had already set up the prompting. We'll do another video, another series on the AI. There's an amazing thing here for deep research. I'm still playing with it, but there are some limitations that you have right now, monthly. So we'll come back to this. But for today's session, I want it to be more like, hey, let me start doing manual research. Let me practice. Let me see what I'm coming across. Let me keep fine-tuning my process so that I can keep getting better at my prompting and make adjustments, make corrections with AI here and there, and just come up with like a master chat with it where I can really, really take it to a whole different level. So without further ado, industry, right? So IBIS World, really good for just a general summary, but I think they like you to buy stuff. But what I want the takeaway from this page to be is, when you think industry analysis, I love this structure. about the industry, performance, products and markets. So if you're thinking, okay, what do I need to look at when I do industry analysis? This is a very nice way to go about it, no matter what industry you're researching. Heck, even cannabis. Competitive forces. Who are the main players out here? External environment. There's legal, there's economic stuff, especially now with the environment being so fluid with tariffs, with foreign relations, with labor, do not just labor, but AI disruption, with visa immigration laws, and they're affecting talents with, you know, outsourcing workers restrictions, etc. So you can start finding about how these things are coming in. And if I can come in with an opinion, we don't have to agree on everything, but it just, I think that's what great advisors do. Have an opinion on a matter. Hey, you know what? You must be, your industry is being affected by such and such. This is how I think it will probably play out. There's a probability it can go this way or that way, and this is how I see it affecting your industry. What do you think? And you make it a dialogue. But guess what? Now you're talking. Now you're playing the game. Now you have know-how. So cool stuff. I mean, as you, depending on your role, if your role is very dependent on a lot of deep research and you're always working with, for example, businesses that are mid to large size businesses, then you probably have the budget to have some kind of service like this where you can have all this information available to you. Financial benchmarks. Let's say you're in banking. I want to know how leveraged the company is. I want to know their cash flow liquidity ratios. Hey, that's a major problem. Can you guys make payroll? What is a trend analysis? Okay, I see your cost of goods sold is trending down and up. Or you can even take a step further. Mr. Customer, your, for example, leverage ratio, your debt ratio, industry average tends is this, has been determined to be this for the last 2 years. Where are you at right now? Or if you have their financials, it looks like you're floating around this, which is below industry average. What are some of the ways that some of the things are keeping you behind your competitors? So these are some of the ways you can use information. You can take this to a whole different level, especially if you have subscriptions to more premium services like these that once you sign up for it, and you can get just through your company budget or memberships, you can get a lot of insight. But take the structure from here. Um, Now, if you want to start doing things for free, let's look at a couple more. So Statista, right? This is great for general statistics. Statista, okay. IT industry. So we're looking distribution of the information IT industry. And we can go by, you can start filtering by the industry, right? Yes, they do, but I remember coming across something here. Solutions. Okay, so IT services. We can start getting some data already, right? Again, a lot of it can be boring, but I think it's how you use something. Because if you have a great delivery skill, if you know how to package something and make something complex and simplify it, it will hit better and you can have a better conversation based on numbers and facts and say, hey, now let's work on a plan of action. I think it's widely agreed and widely regarded to be a form of mastery when you can take something, no matter how complex, and you can explain it to a 5-year old. You deserve all the money you can get, because that is an amazing skill. The fact that you can take something from somebody's idea, from somebody's mind, from just a boring report, and make it in a way that not only hits people but also creates action. I mean, that's a superpower when you think about it. So you can take cool stuff here, IT services, IT outsourcing. You can start playing around with it, guys. Market size, America specific. So, fun fact, guys, I started finding out when I was doing this research. IT spending is like half of the tech spending in the US. It's crazy. Booming market. Look, it just goes up and up and up. So if we start talking with the business and we see them on the downward trend, we know it's not the industry, guys. Now let's start taking off the layers. Just like a mechanic, let's open the hood, let's move the stuff around, let's fix it. Uh, and again, we're coming from a perspective and exercise of a business services provider. Just checking in. Okay, collective pursuit of mayhem. Okay, just making sure nobody's writing something on chat. Even if it's one, I would love that engagement. Late night research with yours truly, Edgar. All right, cloud computing is the strongest growing segment. I was already assuming so. Data centers evolved to, I mean, data storage and data centers. This is so much money to be made here, guys. And how can they take advantage of it? A company like Taigunya, just off the top of my mind, with all these services, how can we make you as lean as possible, as profitable as possible, grow your revenue on top of it by getting you clients, retaining clients, converting clients, deepening clients, cross-selling, upselling. That all comes from consultative efficiency within the company, right? The sales process. If they do that, if they have more revenue, then the revenue is always reinvested in the company, which then gives them stronger IT capabilities, better storage systems, better cloud technology, which then they can charge more and enhance market share. Just some of the ways you can start looking at it. So think of this one as statistics, right? You get this from Statista. Yeah, there's some paid stuff. I think we can get some pretty good data from here. All right, so next up in our industry research, Grand View. So this is great for free executive summaries of global industry reports with market size, more options, lots of options. Yeah, that's the note I had made earlier. Okay, so let's go right here. Boom, reports, industry reports. Okay. Okay, IT consulting. Okay, let's see what we get here. Ah, right here. Okay, reports by industry. So IT consulting. Let's just do IT. Some of it will take some. You have to probably categorize something. Joint security. Guys, can we find technology? Okay, okay. Network security, IT services and applications. Okay. You find the reports that you guys like. Let's see. When we tie it back to the company, Taigunya, their big thing seems to be CRM, Business Central, the Dynamics 360, and custom development, custom development of software, business intelligence, IT security. Okay, so let's stay on the service category for them for IT security. And normally when you get a trial period with that client, a trial contract, a full contract, that's when you can go really crazy with this stuff and make a research for every single service category of theirs, because those are competing in different arenas and they need a different game plan for each, right? So if let's say AI platforms, right? Market size, share trend analysis. Okay. Just so you guys can see, Grand View research shout out. AI platform market, obviously it's just booming, guys. Booming. And expected or estimated to just go crazy, parabolic. And it ties into all these other things that everybody's doing, especially those in the tech space. End user insights, so you can get some pretty cool insights. We're not going to go too much in depth here, but I really like this website for something free to give you so much insight. Again, it's about having an educated opinion coming in and not just coming in completely unprepared. Oh, just tell me what your problem is. Yeah, it's telling me what your problem is part of the process, but how do I uncover it from you? I have to earn that information. And the way you earn it is first making your way in. Okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's not a waste of my time. All right, let's see. Humor me. This is what problems I'm having, right? Um, Asia Pacific seems to be a massive growing area. This is top competitors. Hey guys, how are you competing with some of the platforms out there from Salesforce and Nvidia or Microsoft when it comes to CRM? What's your niche? And you can start better profiling this client. And that's why sometimes with these meetings, sometimes it's good to go as a team. And if you have teammates, one can take notes. You have a tech guy with you. I'm the sales guy. I'm the CRM guy, etc. So you don't always have to fight these battles alone. And even on the research, you can then start divvying up the tasks. Say, you know what? I need you going into competitors. Hey, I need you going to the AI platform of theirs. Hey, I need you to research about this. So divide and conquer would be great if you don't work alone. Growth rate 38.1%. It's a great field to be in, right? So guys, just a little practice here. It's a nice summarized trends. And of course, on a ground level, we can see how it's affected that company. So that is Grandview Research. Oh, I really liked this one. So Mordor. Tell me guys why tech companies are big Lord of the Rings fans, right? We have the big company that's been booming, Palantir, right? And now look, Mordor Intelligence, which is this is more of a research. It has other industries, but from what I saw, it seems to be very tech focused. Technology and MediaCom, security and surveillance. All right, let's see, public safety, information technology. There we go. Okay, cybersecurity, IT security. You find the report, industrial operation technology. Okay. So when I go to the client's meeting and I say, "Hey guys, can you elaborate further on the type of IT security that you guys do? Are we talking about network security? Are we talking about cloud security? Are we talking about?" And once you get that, you can go right here. Oh, okay, firewall market. Okay, let's go into the database monitoring security. Let's go into this, and you can start really niching down on this. For example, it's great, more niche industry focus, right? So let's go as a service, cybersecurity, subscriptions, probably subscription model, right? And surprise, surprise, well, to no one's surprise, growing field, right? Growth rate 12.68%. Okay. On this, North America, largest market, North America, which the client is in North America, great place to be. For this industry, and you can just get a couple of highlights from here, guys. And just whatever document you have prepared. This was just something I prepared, something simple to just keep me on track as I'm hitting the different bullet points with you guys. Key takeaways. Okay, it's growing. Assessment might be a great opportunity, right? If you're a business consultant for them, you can make these suggestions. Small businesses are having a lot more breaches. It's costing them more money. So this is for their potential customers. These are the pain points that leads them to find companies like theirs, right? So the trend is yes, there is more pain But where there's more pain, there's probably more medicine. Okay. And rising costs and frequency of data breaches drive service adoption. Yeah, it's really painful for small business, which is my specialty. I work with businesses on that small to medium space. I see a lot of issues with these. Accelerates. Boom. Cloud. These are things that, for example, if I am training the Taigunia team, these are things that, as far as mom and pops, as far as small businesses, to get them more clients, these are some of the conversation pieces I'll have them ask and develop like a conversation piece or a questioning, deepening model that then we can use that as anchors for them to have a stronger alignment, a stronger link with that customer because there is a genuine pain point that they uncovered and made the client realize how serious it is because a lot of times they brush it off. Oh, I'm just focused on growing my business. But sometimes we can't just play offense, right? Got to play defense. And so we can use these to create a stronger urgency, a stronger value proposition for Taigunia to convert more mom and pops and small businesses because these costs are just going to keep going up. The fraudsters are getting more and more savvy, systems are becoming more and more exposed. I mean, you equip them with AI, they're going to go crazy. So I'd rather have a company like, for example, like Taigunia backing me up. Oh yeah, the service cost me $1,500 per month. But yeah, Mr. Customer, we had just established that you are losing like if we take your annual losses to fraud and breaches and time loss, loss of revenue on a monthly basis, then that loss would have it comes up to an average effective loss rate of $3,500, 3,500, 4,000, 1,500 to make sure that number one that you don't get that cost and we save you $2,000-3,000 per month, but also we stop it from snowballing in the future. Isn't that a great play? Immediately give you a cash flow of you know uh, 2,500 per month times 12, boom, 30,000 per year. You know what, if you're getting a average return rate on investments on that with 6%, well, no matter if you're in banking, right? Or you can use this as collateral for a larger loan to then buy the you know imagination can go crazy, but of course with the Rippicular way of engaging with clients, we will start aligning these things, and then value will kind of speak for itself. And then it just becomes a no-brainer. That's my favorite kind of sell. It's not saying the catchiest thing and forcing or manipulating client to a close. It's that alignment we're talking about. At that point, it just sells itself just because you did such good work with the preparation, with the discovery, with the addressing the issues, the objections, and aligning proper solutions, readjusting those solutions based on the pushbacks, and then getting the client's buy-in simply based on value, on strong value. That kind of gets the job done easily. And again, those manipulative techniques, those catchy words. Oh, if they say this, say that. Yeah, good luck doing that to a whole board of decision makers. Like, let's say I'm meeting with Taigonia's team and I have 5 people on that desk. I can only say so many catchy things because what's catchy to one person is not catchy to the other guys. You're dealing with the whole board, and there is no substitute for good preparation on that situation, which is stuff like these. What we're doing now, guys. Okay, so that's more, as you guys can see, pretty awesome stuff, right? It's kind of giving me like on a high level, like I'm not an IT guy, but I'm already getting a good idea. Hey, you know what? These are the trends. What are you guys doing for that? Your customers, your potential clients, right? Because I know that because who is the industry? They're working with manufacturing, retail, e-commerce. Hey, your small business clients in that space, they're having issues with this and this. How are you guys positioning where they can find you and you can have more conversations, thus leading to potential new clients? From what I do, that's kind of like the conversation piece I would have with them. Okay, so we just hit on industry analysis, right? Okay. No questions. All right. I know it's late. I know it is late. All right. So cool thing here that I forgot to say, geography. I forgot to mention that, guys. Uh, geography analysis. So I want to understand a little bit about Phoenix. And Phoenix has been booming. It's why I got a great opportunity to come out here earlier this year, back in June. I've been here for 4 months. It's been absolutely 3 months. It's been absolutely amazing. But in Phoenix's case, it's Great Economic of Phoenix Council. This is a great resource to understand a little bit about the environment that Phoenix has and data for this. Let's see, let's find anything high T, semiconductors, software operations. Software is good to go with, right? Because they do custom software development. Let's go with this. Of course, I have to advertise the city, right? um, a lot of people are graduating with the degrees, so they have the talent pool. They have the business is booming. They have the talent pool. There is a huge need for their services, and Phoenix overall has just been parabolic. So these guys can really take off if everything is optimized. Again, I haven't had a conversation with them, but those are some of the assumptions I'm having based on information. Um, Specialized concentrated workforce, great talent pool out here in Phoenix, people employed in tech workforce growth in the last 5 years, 18%. A lot of funding, venture capital funding out here. So if they're really trying to take off, and it, growth sucks up a lot of liquidity, a lot of cash. Maybe funding is needed. Phoenix is a great place to be at, right? For that. Mm-hmm. Software completion slot on education focused. Global industry leaders. Okay. Follow the full analysis. Competitive operating costs. Okay. Yes, Phoenix has been a lot of incentives for attacking tech companies and businesses. Incentives, right? Okay. So if I'm in a finance space, this is very fluid. I can keep making sure to stay on top of it and reaching out to the client ahead of time, ahead of certain changes that I know are coming, making sure that the tax strategy is optimized. Oh, wow, nice. Great place to be. I think we found out that this company has operations in 3 states. So maybe it's time to really boom and invest in their Phoenix operations. Cost is great, talent pool is great, investments are great, opportunities are great, tax benefits are great. Okay, cybersecurity organizations. Yeah, basically a little report on the city, and you can download these stuff, right? So this is more so on the highlights, right? And of course, advertising Phoenix, but you can get your email address and then get your 30-page in-depth report of, and it's free. Cool stuff. But if you really want to keep taking it to a different level, keep leveling up, you can then start researching the city. Of course, you could always do a simple Google and Yelp review of competitors. Let's say IT security service providers in Phoenix, right? And we can go to maps and we can look more specific in a geographical area. Quite a bit of players, but nothing too crazy where you can't start researching them and you can just start seeing their ratings, who are your top competitors, what are they doing. But what I like to do is see those that have a lot of complaints, like oof, right? Because these are clues of what what businesses are needing in the area as far as service providers in this field, because they're complaining about something that means it is of very high value to them, and that is clue to me of what we can position, right? um, yeah, so actually cool little trend with IT and security. A lot of physical security companies are expanding into IT security. Customer service, yeah, look at that. Do not waste your money. But so you can identify some of the important things, and some of them will kind of, and you can narrow down your search. Then it's going to be only 4 or 5 companies to look at, and if they're doing a much better job than them, or we can find opportunities to better compete with the top competitors in the area, like this three, for example, you can then start researching from here. But cool thing here too, you can go to Yelp, you can go to, remember, BBB, Blackstone, and then you can find, let's say, Blackstone roofing, just random company, guys. We can see if they have complaints. We can see years in business. We can see, because again, complaints is an identifier of values that clients are looking for in that area. So another thing we can do, if you want, if the website you can't find who the owner is, etc., I can look into Arizona Secretary of State entity search. Okay, here it is. Taigunia, boom, search. It's public information, but we can find which one is active. And once you click in here, you're going to have how it was registered, who the person, who the manager is that registered it, what the address is, just in case you want to really get stalker mode with it. But this is a great way to find out more information about it. You can look it under lean search, or you can look under entity search right here under Secretary of State. So another way of researching based on the city, where the competitors are. So local business search, you can take Manta also and go let's look into Scottsdale, right? Something a little more specific, and you can go IT. Boom. And we can look into more specifically what the client does. I'm sure there's a lot of niche stuff that not a lot of companies do. We can look into CRM, right? We can look into CRM development for Scottsdale. Boom. Yeah, this is definitely, it's been becoming a huge tech hub. So you can start doing a research on a couple of them, take these guys back to Google, see the reviews. So Manta is one way to go. We're doing competitor research now. Trustpilot more for text space. This is cool stuff. I think I already had one right here. Okay. Okay, let's go. What happened? Hold on. I'll get it for you. Quick second, guys. Yeah, the wife needed a shirt or something. But Mimi, Mimi. That's the clean one. Yeah, yeah, that's the one that was in bed. That was yours. I, yeah, everybody's baby's been sleeping. Wife's been going to sleep. About to leave the office here. My little office slash chill room. Okay, so remember, guys, how we found uh, a company out here, Scottsdale IT company. I just pull up the random name. Exquisite service. All right, we can go. Exquisite services. Anyways, I guess you guys can find um, more specific. Not everybody's gonna be up here, but you can find more on tech space. We can. Oh, we need to filter it even further. All right. Perfect. Here we go. Okay, now we start narrowing the search. Okay. ITM trading. I think I saw that name earlier too. Beautiful. Exactly. So specifically for tech space, you start researching, you start asking the questions. Oh, you know what? I'm not getting the reviews I want in Google. I need more specific industry reviews. Boom. Start It starts with a question, it starts with a curiosity, and now you start looking for the solutions. And you find specific review platforms that are great for certain industries. About liquidation. Oof. Yeah, guys, you gotta have a good sales process, a transparent one. I think people are tired of, look at that, deceit, manipulation, promises, over promising, rather than it being a collaborative effort. Oh, did not return request for information. Um, you guys get an idea though. Competitors, Trustpilot, and such, right? Okay, so this is the research form. Now you go back. All right, guys, let me start putting some notes. Um, Company profile, industry trend. I can put the industry analysis that I had found out. This probably should go first, right? We take all that information we discussed, employees and such, put a couple of highlights, what the company stands for, especially if you get stories. I love to put things like, hey, owner founded the company back in 1980, which was the year I was born. We old now. We're old. 1989. Um, Inspired by Steve Jobs, whatever the case may be, tech people, right? So I'm just kind of making something up here just as an example. Big driver was serving the community, or more specifically, um, helping college graduates transition and channel their passion. So I can put things like this and say, hey, you know what, Jim, I appreciate you taking this meeting. I gotta say, I read a little bit about it. Your story is very unique. What made you really be passionate about working with college graduates, right? If somebody's really passionate about something and they worked so hard to create something, that is your baby. They love the opportunity to tell the story. Should the other person they're talking to be a genuine person, is actually really wanting to know, and they believe the person has good intentions based on this meeting, right? So I like to put something about their story. Hey, about the upcoming event. Hey, the company specializes in such and such. This is what I do. I think we can have a conversation. There's a couple of ideas I have to help you expand into your nonprofit, because I work in nonprofits in this capacity. My specialty allows my specialty lies in tying nonprofits with tech companies, with tech solutions. It is a big opportunity in this space. Da, 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 da. Comes from a know-how. Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. The, based on the and with good information comes great questioning, which then I can set up a couple of questions down the road. You guys will see. We research who the decision makers and stakeholders are. If I walk into the company, if I'm trying to call them, if I'm trying to find a department, instead of walking in and say, "Hey, Mrs. Front Desk, can you get me in touch with the president of the company?" Psych, click, right? Yeah, just leave me a business card. But if I make one or two drop-ins, I know the front desk person's name. I see a little thing that they like. I've scoped LinkedIn. I know some names, and I think the guy's name was Christopher. Hey, do you know if Christopher's in? If Christopher's not in, do you know if James is in, the president? So you have a couple of things. It's like, oh no, this guy is almost like he's supposed to be here, right? And you start earning your way in. Look, Jim is not in, but I have so and so in. Oh, perfect. Let me just say hi. I'm trying to, there's a couple of things that I do in this space that would be of interest to so and so's job function. Do you know if I can do a quick introduction? I have specifics, I have a reason, and you're more likely to get through with that because you're just right off the bat, you're coming in with value points from preparation. Other stakeholders, finance, operation, marketing, etc., right? So depending on the product you provide, find those that have great synergy and great integration with your role and you can bring most value to. Because if you get, for example, the finance person, if I'm a banker and I have an amazing conversation or an amazing value for the finance person, and I manage to get this person in a meeting, come up with a great proposal, we look over the financials, we set up the plan, I set up a couple of plan of attacks based on that situation on how we can optimize, lower this, increase liquidity, etc. This person, if he sees enough value, he's going to shoot it up the chain, and then we'll have a decision making, probably bigger meeting where I bring in my manager and this person or my other decision makers, my underwriters, and they bring in the owner, etc. So key stakeholders, career path, common connections, news, mentions, etc. So some of the stuff we had already talked, right? Business model, we were discussing this. You start then putting it in this context, target market, customer segments, core offerings, product services. Because remember, you have to differentiate them because they each have different values, they each have a different competitive environment, and they each have a different strategy. Which one are you able to help with, right? Yourself is knocking on their door, and which one do you most synergize with? Now, a lot of the stuff from research, you're going to make some assumptive, you're going to have some assumptions, some hypotheses. Hey, you know what? I'm thinking that such and such, they probably don't have too much community engagement. Um, maybe that's affecting the level of leads that they're getting. There's not a lot of engagement with their platform on the websites, on the I mean on Google, etc., on reviews. So maybe they need help with not just marketing, but with actually a sales team development. Um, make some assumptions, and of course, down the line, 7 and 8 will be confirming those assumptions, right? Financials and market signals. We were looking at that data, guys, right? Um, some trends, some competitors in the area. We were looking at that. Some bigger competitors on CRM is Salesforce, Microsoft. These guys are everywhere these days, right? And they're making it more and more accessible for medium companies, medium-sized companies, maybe even in the future to small-sized companies. Pain points and challenges, researches and hypotheses, external factors, internal factors, signals from research. With that, with everything that we're discussing, you're going to start having a pretty good amount of information, a pretty good consultative meeting relationship with us. If I'm on accounting, if I have a firm that has some kind of relationship with them, and again, oh, I almost forgot to mention on LinkedIn and such, you can see who follows them on X, etc., aka Twitter, and see that external people outside of the company that follows them, like CPAs, lawyers, community alumni, and maybe you can start making your way in. But if I'm part of a firm that has some kind of relationship with them, I can leverage that too, or I can leverage connections through connections, right? I can leverage, hey, you know what? I work with your accounting firm. Um, a lot of their similar clients, I work with them in this capacity. I wanted to see if we can put a time in your calendar to see how if we can do the same for you or similar. And the previous notes, small promise made. Hey, you know what? We did discuss that. We agreed for a meeting to go over such and such. You were wanting to further develop, further explore this idea that I had presented to you. When can we come back to that? You know what? I did make that commitment to you. Would love to find a time to deliver on that commitment. Opportunities to add value. You can make a couple of preparations. For example, here I want to talk to them about long term. I want to talk to them about client retention and deepening, continuous improvement on technology, reinvestments, long term, right? How are we going to capitalize on that AI boom? We saw the chart. Publishing more success stories on the short term. How do we get you more leads? How do we do local campaigns? How we're working on converting that attention that you're getting into revenue, right? Converting clients to the buying journey. Some of the things that I can then prepare and see how I can add value. And what I'm going to do on 8 and 9, I'm going to engage with the clients and confirm, okay, perfect. Now this is the meeting. Let's talk about your lead generation. Okay, what are some of the ways you're doing lead? Are they consistent? Are there dry seasons? You know what? Are you having issues getting the right amount of leads? Are you converting enough of them? How are you tracking them? I'm now uncovering those through the meeting. And as I uncover that information of meeting goals that I'm getting, I can then benchmark them against competitors, against the industry, and now we can start game planning. How can we fix the problem if we don't know what the problem is, right? Top 3 outcome I want to achieve this meeting. I can have some initial assumptions, and then this can pivot slightly based on the client's priority. Client can tell you know what, I am having a huge problem with this and this. This is what I want to put initial focus on, and then from there pivot into the other stuff. So now I know I kind of have to, I can still talk about it, but I'll put it on the back burner. Say these are things I still think is a great idea. I would love to explore that further with you. Let's discuss more. But looking at as you have priority in lead generation, for example, let's work on that. Let's focus on that. And you can come up with a full game plan and then at the end give a proposal for a certain attack plan. Hey, for your lead generation, let's talk about certain packages that my firm, that my company offers, that my team offers. This is what we can do. We can try to boost this way. I'm going to be also training your people to convert those leads. We're going to be doing your digital marketing. We're going to be doing your community outreach. We are going to monitor such and such and develop a game plan. We're going to develop a scripting, etc., whatever the case may be. because then I confirm with the client that is what their priority is before everything else. And once I do that, guess what? A lot of times, fulfilling that primary need properly and something that's painful and giving that alleviation feels great, right? Ah, we fixed it. Now, guess what? Now I have their complete attention, and now I can go back to the other agendas and possibly deepen the contract, earn more contract, use those funds, get a bigger team. And I help myself, I help my business through the process of helping them achieve what they want to achieve. That's how I like to do it. And then we tailor the value proposition based on what the outcomes of the meeting, outcomes I wanted to achieve, the meeting goals, the conversation, what we are just discussing, proof points to share, case studies, similar things we can do. We can come even the more complex, the more bigger the project, multiple meetings are probably required. That's when it comes in. And then as we're executing on the contract or as we're following up with them, what's the post meeting plan? A lot of you guys will probably have a much better, prettier way to develop these kind of charts and PDFs, but I just kind of wanted to, for the structural purpose, I developed these kind of 10 steps. Um, but yeah, before the meeting, research 1 to 7. During the meeting, focus on 8 and 9. After the meeting, fill section 10. So hopefully that was useful. We're going to keep doing more of these. This was just a manual research portion. We're going to do probably a few more companies, and then we can go on a different series. We can go to proper prompting and some of the tips and tricks that we're doing, some of the way conversations that I'm having with the AI, and then really dive deep with deep research and show how we can take it to a whole different level, guys. We don't want to substitute our work again with AI. We want AI to be our perfect partners, and as partners we both have to work on something. And as you get better, you're going to get more out of your engagement, your utilization of AI. AI is a tool, and a tool needs to be applied. A tool needs to be utilized for it to have value, guys. But it's good to know how to do a lot more than you're required and then edit down from that process. Simplicity from, and I love what Bruce Lee said, mastery is simplicity from reduction and brutal editing process rather than adding more and more techniques. It's actually about refining. But you don't want to just come in with a simple approach without knowing the underlying everything else and why it is that you're choosing to do it this way, because simplicity from ignorance is not the same. So because of that, I love that philosophy. What we're doing right now is part of applying that philosophy. As we're mastering everything, we can start fine-tuning. You know what? I can cut this from this process. Now I know how to get here faster. I don't need to look at too much on this side. And you start refining it down where you're just working so effectively while achieving the same, if not more, in less time. But guys, thank you. Hopefully that was helpful. As I'm sharing the tips and tricks, techniques, the process, don't be stingy with your stuff if you're really good at this stuff. If there's anything else that I could have looked at, please engage with us. Let me know. We'd love to kind of make this kind of like a conversation as we all elevate each other. I think collaboration is amazing. Collaboration, not domination. But that is all. I'm going to go join my toddler and my wife and go to sleep. Rippicular. Logging out.